So I have this opinion or this viewpoint about worry that I want to share with you here today. I'm not saying that I'm exactly right, but I don't see why my thoughts and opinions are really anything less than anybody else's. And I wanted to make this video Monday, and I tried, but I just couldn't get it to come out right. So hopefully this will be a take right here. Um, I had a lot of trouble sleeping Sunday night. I don't normally have a problem sleeping. I can usually uh, close my eyes within a couple of minutes. I'm sound asleep, much to the annoyance of my wife, who has always a bunch of trouble falling asleep. But Sunday nights are typically a time when, if I'm gonna have trouble sleeping, that's when, and because my sleep pattern is messed up, starting on Friday night, I just stay up later, and then by Sunday night, I've just messed things up too much. But sometimes we lose sleep for different reasons. And when I was a kid, I hated school. I was extremely frightened of it, and I didn't make good grades. I moved around a lot. I didn't do well at all. I wasn't a good student, and I was not a social butterfly. And so I had a lot of anxiety about school, and I remember not being able to sleep on Sunday nights because I was dreading going back to school the next day. Um, but as you get to be older, things change, and I think I handle a lot of things quite well. But every once in a while, a little worm will burrow its way into my brain and make things very difficult for me. It'll get in there and it'll just scramble things up, and that's what it did this last Sunday night. I started thinking about something. I'd heard about an issue someone was having very close to me, and I started to get very anxious about it. And all I could do was think about it. And then, you know how those things go. You start thinking about them, and they spawn other thoughts that just bring on more fears, and there's this onslaught of of turmoil that is beating down upon you that you just can't seem to escape. And I just got very little sleep, hardly anything that night. Got up and read for about an hour, and that helped a little bit. And then when I did fall asleep, in the last hour or so, I had these dreams that were disastrous. So here's where I'm going with this. I have a theory about why we spend so much time worrying. Number one, it's extremely hard to not worry. We can watch all the videos we want. We can read all the books. We can talk to all the people about worry, about why we shouldn't do it, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't seem to help, does it? I mean, it's easier to talk about it than it is to deal with it, right? And there are things that along your journey in life, you're going to find out that they do help. There are things that can be said and done that do help a lot. Some of it comes with age and experience, and some of it just comes with just learning how to give up. I mean, that sounds kind of counterproductive, doesn't it? Well, let me explain. Here's my theory on worry, why we do so much of it. And I think that we hold on to more of it than what we should, knowing that we should let go. Now that seems hard. Now that seems like a tall order as it is, as I've already kind of stated. But but I think the reason we hold on to it so much is we kind of deliberately do it because we think that if we think these things over enough, it's going to brace us for impact. In the event that our worst fears should come true, in the event that the boogeyman should actually show up and grab our ankles from underneath the bed, or storm out of the closet during the middle of the night, with no one around to save us, covering your mouths that you can't even scream for your parents to come get you. Um, but we think that if we mill over these things enough, that it's going to embrace us for impact. That's what I think. That's how I feel. That's after I've thought about it for quite some time. But let me give you an illustration here, a real life illustration for me. When I was growing up, I would see how my father would handle stress, and I don't think he ever handled stress very well. not very well at all. And I always felt as a young child, I always felt that it would end up being something that would take my father's life someday. Now, my father has gone on home to heaven. I cannot know that whether or not stress was the factor in what took his life. I can't know that, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. But growing up, I always felt like what happened to him would happen. People oftentimes say, listen, most of the things you worry about will never happen to you, or it won't be as bad as you think they will be. And for the most part, they're right. In fact, Calvin Coolidge even said, let me go back to this here. Bear with me for a second here. Calvin Coolidge, and I agree with him on this. I absolutely agree with him on this. He said, if you see 10 troubles coming down the road, you can be sure that 9 will run into the ditch before they reach you. I do believe that most of the things you worry about will not happen. But I want to be realistic here that there are some things that you are worried about that will actually happen to you. Now, they're not, the percentages are not high, but sometimes the things you do worry about actually do occur. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's be really frank here. And let me add to that. Sometimes the things you worry about not only happen, but they're much worse than you could have ever imagined. Yeah. Well, that's what happened to me. That's what happened to my family. That's what happened to my father. My father, I said it in a video before that he had an aortic aneurysm. I remember getting the call one morning, and it was my brother on the other line. Said, Dad, Mom found Dad in the bathroom. He's up at the hospital now. There's like a 5% chance of him surviving. I remember getting that call and thinking to myself, this is the call I've been waiting for all my life. And it was a nightmare for months because he did survive, but it wasn't quality of life. I mean, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And so it was bad. It was really bad. But I'm not saying this to worry you. Let me make my point here. My point is that it doesn't help to be dishonest with ourselves and go, well, the things we worry about are never going to happen. We have to acknowledge that if you wrote them all down on paper, all the things that bothered you, all the things that gave you anxiety, you'd have to realize that most of the time, those things never occur. But you can't dismiss the times that some things do occur, things that hit you out of the blue, and things that you did anticipate. And sometimes they end up worse. But so, what does it really embrace you for impact? That's the whole point of this. I think a lot of people will spend much time nursing their anxieties, nursing the worry that they have because they think it's going to somehow prepare them. But mark my word, it does not prepare you. Nothing prepares you. Well, I say nothing. Let me qualify that. Nothing that you've been doing up to that point will have prepared you. Yeah. And I mean that. I mean all the care and attention that you've been giving to it all this time, and all the fretting, and all the the sick stomach you've been having for years thinking about these things. It didn't help. It didn't help you embrace for the impact because it still brought in variables that you couldn't have anticipated. It doesn't help. So you've got to find a more constructive way of dealing with these things. Let me give you a couple things that I think will help. They come in the form of quotes, and I give them to you because I can attest to the validity or the veracity of the remarks that are made here. I do believe they're true. Not that I've mastered them, but that I have thought on them, and I have practiced what these people are talking about, and I can tell you that it really does make a difference. I wish I had it completely under control, but I don't think I ever will. But I'm hoping that this video will at least help. So here's a couple things that I read here. This is an anonymous quote. It says, "For peace of mind, resign as general manager of the universe. It's true. You cannot control the outcome by worrying about something, by trying to embrace for impact, because that is a form of control. And no one begrudges you for it. We all understand because we all do. We're all in the same boat. Okay? So just understand that you really don't have as much control in life as you would like. Granted, most things you worry about aren't going to happen. But at the same time, you're also in so little control of anything. The only thing you're really in control of is your own faculties, your ability to think things through, and your ability to maybe take what they call a more stoic approach, change your philosophy, change the way you look at things, um, because you are not in control of these things. Now, I will say, there's a quote here that I don't know who Olga Ilian is. I haven't looked her up before I did this, but she said something here I really liked. She said, "It had been my repeated experience that when you said to life calmly and firmly, but very firmly, 'I trust you, do what you must,' life had an uncanny way of responding to your need." And then I also read another one about, if I can find it. Forgive me for not having it right on hand, and I don't have my glasses with me. Okay, so here it is, by Richard Moss. This says, "Somehow, when we no longer feel in control, we become available to deeper aliveness." That's the one I really wanted to talk about a lot. Yeah, you do have to surrender to life sometimes, and just understand that you are sometimes, in a lot of cases, you're really reduced to nothing more than an observer of what's going on around you, because you can't stop the train, right? It's hard to do that. You just can't stop the train. And you hate to say that, but also understand that life has a way of working itself out and doing things that work out for the best for everybody. And it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. But as Richard Moss says, somehow when we no longer feel in control, we become available to deeper aliveness. And that's why I want to say, don't spend your life trying to embrace for impacts that may never happen, or if they do, it really made no difference either way. You're sacrificing your ability to feel alive. All right. All right. Now the last one I want to share with you is by Victor Hugo. The one who wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Les Miserables. Um, if that's how you say it, right? But anyway, the famous French author. Here's what he said: "Be like the bird that, passing on her flight, a while on boughs too slight, feels them give way beneath her, and yet sings, knowing that she hath wings." My friends, listen, you have wings, regardless of whatever enters into your life and presents a challenge to you. And while things might slip out from underneath you and show that what you're trying to deal with is unsupportable, you can still sing. You can still be thankful. You can still do what you do the best you can. Relinquish control, and just learn that sometimes all you can do is sit back and wait for life to take its toll. I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow, but you're not going to live. You're not going to be a fully alive until you do. All right, guys, let me wrap this up. I've said enough about that. If you want to know what I have in my beard today, I thought the most appropriate thing to bring to you would be Fable Beard Company's The Boogeyman. This is the Boogeyman Beard Oil. It says Night Terrors Beard Oil. I thought it was appropriate since I talked about that not being able to sleep. But there's that, and after I got done applying that, I put in there. No, actually, I put in there beard butter first, and after I got done doing that, then I applied their beard balm. Look at that. Pretty nifty, right? I don't usually put all three of these in at the same time, but I did today. Listen, if you want to save yourself some money, go to Fable Beard Company. See the description below. Use Greg15. It'll save you 15% on anything you get on the website. And he has a lot there you can choose from. So that's what I have in my beard today. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope it's meant something to you. I'll catch you in the next one. Be wise.